Galimera, Galimera, Galimera. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Yes, I'm back. The daily podcast from the balcony news broadcasts. They're going to restart again as of today. So that's just a quick little, quick little look at Kiki. Just have a quick look at the real estate since last I broadcast, because the last time I did a broadcast was, I think, sometime in September, but I'm not 100% sure. It could have even been in August. I know on my YouTube channel, the last broadcast is run about the 30th of August. So I'm going to center the updates and that around the 30th of August. Just to let you know that since we last spoke, we've had a roof put on the house. Not us personally, but our landlord. Absolutely awesome. These guys did a fantastic job. And I've passed their details on to Dennis because we had a few problems with the roof during the summer, when we had the rains anyway. But anyway, that's the roof on top of us at the moment. I can see some people coming online. I can't see you yet because the sun's in my eyes. All in all, it's a beautiful day. Absolutely glorious. Just have a quick look round at the real estate. Look, we've got a bit of greenery back in the grass. Believe it or not, Yanni cut that grass about a week or so ago, and it's growing back really, really quickly at the moment. So it's looking absolutely fantastic. Andrew the Fridge Watkins is there. Maria Hadelberg is there as well. Susie Angus, Brian Darlington, Janet Clooney, Lyndon over there in Wales, tuning in as well, and Tim as well, looking in as well. He says it's looking bloody great. It's looking nice, I've got to be honest. Just to quickly go through what happened to me, for those of you that don't know, I'm still unvaccinated, just to make that quite clear. I caught COVID. I had it for, well, I had to go into isolation for 10 days as per the law. So that meant I wasn't working at Magdalena's. Basically, I did my 10 days isolation. Then came back to work. For me personally, the COVID was just like a severe case of flu. Once again, I do know people have died from it. I've been very lucky. My metabolism fought it. I went down from 102 kilos down to 96 kilos. I've put a little bit of weight back on since then. I'm now 98 odd kilos, so I want to stay under the 100, so I've gone back onto the 3-2 at the moment as well. So for me personally, I've had it, I've got over it. I still don't intend to have the vaccine for as long as I can, because they're making life very difficult at the moment for those people that are not vaccinated, who want the right to choose. Not that most of them are against vaccinations, it's their right to choose what they put in their body. And this is the whole thing. It's this control that all governments seem to be doing. Doesn't matter where you are in the world, they all want you to have it, even though for some people it might be a good thing and for others it might not be a good thing, especially those people who are suffering from cancer treatments and stuff like that. But on the end of the day, it should be all right to choose. And again, I'm going to be a big advocate that on the right of choice. I know it's impacting on life in the way that just going about doing things, and I'll come into more detail on that as I start to look at the news and about everything that's been going on. So there's a bit of catch up going on here. I'll warn you now, it's a little bit COVID heavy, all right, for the first part, but there is some positive and there is some good news as well as all the doom and gloom, which doesn't matter where you are in the world, there seems to be doom and gloom everywhere. Right, so let's have a quick look then. The weather today, obviously, I haven't had my concise weather report from the lovely Amanda. Maybe that will start reappearing, but anyway, today's weather, as you can obviously see, it's sunny and warm and bright. Temperature around about 25 degrees Celsius. So again, it's a lovely day here today. And again, let's hope it stays like that as well. Right, now, COVID in the last 24 hours. I'm going to go back and start doing these COVID numbers. Obviously, going to try and fill in the gaps between basically the 30th of August, when we had 1,580 new infections on the 30th of August, which does, to be honest, seem like that's such a long time ago. Today, Greece had the second highest infection rate of 6,154 new infections. That brings the total now of infections of 760,592 since the beginning of the pandemic, of which 50.8% of those are male who've been affected by it. And when you consider that back on the 30th of August, we had 581,315 infections from that date, of which 51.8% of people were male that were affected. The numbers have shot up by around about under 200,000 within the last, since August, September, October, in about the last 3 months. So again, we've not hit the million mark yet. We're still well under that, and let's see if that will go that way. Anyway, as for infections coming into the country, within the last 24 hours, 8 new cases were reported coming into Greece at various ports of entry around the country. Whereas back on the 30th of August, there were 15 new cases reported at ports of entry. Again, the threat hasn't been so much from the outside as always, but always from within the country. The numbers of people coming in with infections has been low. So therefore, you know, those are figures not to get really excited about in the long run anyway. Now, as I start coughing, particularly cough, nothing serious. Cases in the Ionian. I'm looking at islands in the Ionian and what their infection cases have been within the last 24 hours. Lefkada had 3 cases. Corfu's had 93 cases. That's a lot there for Corfu. Kefalonia's had 16 cases, and Zakynthos, we've had 18 cases reported. Now, once again, remember, these are national stat numbers. These are not numbers that have been reported in the local papers, as you can identify who the people are. But basically, that is the number the national stats are giving. And I must admit, while having to test twice a week while still working, I was asking the places I was going to where these infections were going, and again they were saying in their infection rate they weren't picking anybody up, sometimes in their offices, mainly tourists and workers as well, but they weren't picking up many positive cases of people going through. I think one of the last positive cases was me, where I was going being tested. So again, it's interesting to see where these numbers are going. I'm not going to go through the amount of people that have had COVID over the last 12 months, over the last period of time in Zakynthos, because I basically just have not found out yet. So I'm going to leave that clear. But when it comes to deaths, on the 31st of August, Greece had 37 deaths from COVID nationally. As of yesterday, there's been 49 new deaths, bringing the death toll, excuse me, I'm coughing again, bringing the death toll, this is what happens when you eat peanuts before you come on air, nationally, we've had 16,109 deaths, of which 95.4% had underlying illnesses or were aged 70 years or over. When you consider that when I did my last report on the 31st of August, there were 13,636 and the average age there was 79 years of age, and 96.4% had underlying health problems or were over the age of 70. We've effectively had 3,000 deaths in the last 4 months from COVID. So once again, our condolences to those families affected. But the numbers, again, I wouldn't like to say they're high or low, but those are the numbers at the moment that we can report on to you at the moment. As for Zakynthos, I've not heard of any more deaths from COVID since August. We had 2 deaths in August, a 44-year-old male and a 77-year-old male. I've not heard of any deaths for September or October from COVID here on Zakynthos. Lots of deaths of people that Jane and I personally know, but not related to COVID. And again, I'd be interested if anybody can update me on that on the island. Have we had any more cases of COVID since that time of August 31st? I'd be very curious to know. Anyway, as for critical cases at the moment, critical cases again in hospitals, they are up to 443 critical cases in Greece at the moment, and it was at 334 critical cases back on the 31st of August. So again, we've had an increase, but we've not hit the 900 mark, which is the 900 beds that are available here in Greece for people suffering from COVID. At the moment, no word as to, those are people in incubation, let's get that clear. People in incubation, 443. But as for the COVID clinics, no word as to how full the COVID clinics are. Those are basically like observation wards where people are suffering from COVID are sent, who are not requiring incubation. Okay, so again, no figures on those numbers at all at the moment. Right, today's news then. Very sad story, again, COVID related. A 36-year-old pregnant woman from Katerini, which is a northern city here in Greece, died from coronavirus last week, according to a local broadcaster. She hadn't been vaccinated. The woman, who did not have any underlying health problems, was in her 33rd week of pregnancy when she tested positive at the end of September. Anyway, on September the 28th, she was hospitalized in Thessaloniki. 2 days later, her health was deteriorating, and doctors then decided to form a cesarean to give the baby a chance and obviously to try and save the child. Anyway, after the operation, the woman was incubated, but she died late last week. And her baby, however, is in good health at the moment. So that's a blessing in itself. Anyway, according to a local website, voria.gr, another pregnant woman has also been hospitalized with coronavirus. The 35-year-old who had not been vaccinated also delivered after a C-section or a cesarean and had to be initially incubated along with her baby. Again, these stories are now slowly starting to filter out into the mainstream media here in Greece. And again, these incidents happened last week. Anyway, a source in the same hospital said doctors are also treating a 27-year-old who had only done the first dose of the COVID vaccine, but at the moment nothing more has been forthcoming in that area, and I will keep an eye on that story and see if anything comes from that. Also reported in the press as well, the testing of sewage has confirmed that the viral load in Attica has doubled in Thessaloniki. It has increased 400%, whereas in Thessaly it increased by 800%. And once again, for those people who are not aware, by testing sewage water, that is one way that they can test for spread of the virus. There has been tests carried out on the sewage water here in Zakynthos, although I've not heard of any results or any news of any increases in viral load in the sewage farm, which is located down by the airport, as to whether it has got worse or got better within the last few months. But again, we'll be keeping an eye on that, because that can obviously be a reflection of how the virus is doing in a local location like Zakynthos through the sewage farm. Anyway, it says also in this report, the critical situation is mirrored in all regions of low vaccination uptake. So they're now obviously accumulating this high viral rate with the fact that there's low vaccination uptakes in those areas. And again, from what I've been reading, Thessaloniki is one of the locations where people are not as keen to take the take the vaccine as much as in other areas of the country. Now, this sort of leads into a story again that I picked up on this morning. According to the latest Focus Bar YouGov nationwide opinion poll published on Wednesday, over 4 in 5 Greeks say that they have received or will receive the COVID-19 vaccine. Now, the poll also found that 11% stated that they remain vaccine hesitant or have yet to decide, while 8% stated that they are opposed to the vaccine. Anyway, the vaccine his stance is stronger among younger people. Those are the 18 to 44-year-old age groups, while those opposed to the vaccine appear in similar percentages across all age groups. So again, it's this anti-vax. I don't like the word anti-vax. I think the wording should be pro-choice, not anti-vax, because the problem with that, if you're a pro-choice person who might be quite happy for people to be vaccinated and want the vaccine, being lumped in with anti-vaxxers who are against it full stop, I think people have to make it clear that you are pro-choice, the vaccine, as in your choice to have it in your body, and not anti-vax in saying that the vaccine should not be given out to anybody or everybody. All right, I think that is something that is not being pushed enough in mainstream media. It's all anti-vax, and any negative story in regards the mantra of vaccinate, vaccinate, vaccinate automatically gets classed as anti-vax. And I think the message can be confused between pro-choice and those people who are against vaccinations. To be honest, I've not met, in my experience, anybody who's been against the vaccine. Not anybody. My thing, and all the people I've spoken to, it's about the choice whether you have it or not. Maybe it's good for you, maybe it's not good for you, but it still should be your choice. Anyway, the percentage of those who reject the vaccine has declined continuously from 20% in January to February in 2021 to 15% and 13% in June, and in October it dropped down to 8%. So maybe there are people that were anti-vaccine, as in anti-giving it out to anybody and everybody, whether it was your choice or not. And that number appears, from looking at this poll, to have dropped down from 20% in January down to 8% in October. As some people can see, there might be a logic behind it for some people, whereas for others, again, it still should be a choice as well. Anyway, a similar percentage of those who are vaccine hesitant shrank from 43% in February to 31% in April, 20% in June, and again to 8% in October. And again, those people who were thinking about it, not quite sure about it, those numbers have dropped down to 8%. Now, it also said that women are more hesitant. 13% of women are more hesitant than men at 9%, and are also slightly more likely to reject the vaccine, and 8% compared to 7% there. So 8% of women were more likely to reject the vaccine to 7% of men. And again, that's an interesting figure, that women are more hesitant. And I think a lot of that must be obviously to do with child rearing, women obviously wanting to get pregnant and probably have children, and worrying that maybe the vaccine might be an impediment to having or giving birth to healthy children. And to be honest, we're still in early stages of that. We really just do not know. I mean, to be frankly honest, I don't know if the research is being done, but I do feel it is still early times yet to see the full outcome of what the vaccine has done on pregnant women, despite the earlier story about women who are not vaccinated giving birth at this time. Anyway, the other interesting thing was that Thessaloniki has more people who are vaccine hesitant or reject vaccines. That's 20%. Then Attica, which is at 15%, which obviously includes the main capital of Athens. Now, the poll was conducted in October on a sample of 635 Greeks aged between 18 and 74. So again, I think the poll actually is a small number. Let's be honest here, only 635, and it just says Greeks. It doesn't say people, but it says Greeks. Maybe if the poll was with a larger number of people, and also internationally, not just Greeks, it would be interesting to see what the result of that poll would be, whether the figures would differ very much in comparison. But again, it's still a poll that is still saying that people still want the right to choose as above compulsory being vaccinated. Anyway, the Greek government has announced new measures primarily focused on people like me, the unvaccinated, which are being imposed from Saturday, November the 6th, due to the record number of new infections across the country in the last days. Now, the measures announced on Tuesday by the Greek health minister, as of Saturday, all unvaccinated people will be obliged to display a recent negative test to enter all indoor public areas, including banks, most shops, government buildings and hair salons. Anyway, the same will apply to outdoor restaurant areas and cafes. Exceptions will be made for supermarkets, shops selling food, pharmacies and places for worship. Now, the only thing, as I've said about this, is I'm somebody who's had coronavirus. I've done my 30 days of testing. Once again, I was testing twice a week because I was still working with the public. I have a certificate to say that I've had the virus, I've got over it, but no word in these new measures as to people like myself who have had it. I've got the certificate to say we've had it and that we're clear of it. We have been for 30 days, and having it initially, having that certificate was as good as being vaccinated. No word in the fine print at the moment as to where I stand in this, as to whether I am allowed in, or people like me who are unvaccinated, have had it, has the certificate after 30 days of testing, and are allowed to be treated as if we were vaccinated. Again, you just feel that having the vaccination is a form of privilege that you're being given because you've complied and you've done it, even though it says that even though you've been vaccinated, you can still spread it, you can still carry it. I had this discussion with people many a time during the summer that as somebody that was unvaccinated but testing twice a week, I was a safer person than a vaccinated person who didn't have to test twice a week, who could still be asymptomatic, still spreading the virus and still passing it on. And yet, as an unvaccinated person testing twice a week, I knew my medical state better than somebody that was vaccinated. So again, it all points to this. Why, oh why, do you still insist on people vaccinating? You're still making people's lives hard being vaccinated. You've been firing health workers in the healthcare system as well, trying to find people to replace them who are unvaccinated. And when you look at the healthcare, 90% of those people who are already vaccinated had been quite happily working alongside unvaccinated people, working around people that had the virus, and again, still carried on and did their jobs. And now they're sat on the sidelines, not able to work, basically had their livelihoods removed from them because they wouldn't comply to a mandate. Again, it's all about control. It's not about choice as far as I'm concerned. You should have the right to choose. Anyway, interestingly, also, again, further update to the places put in place coming as of Saturday. All public and private sector employees will also have to display negative tests. So they're making people in public sectors, whether they're vaccinated or not, they will have to display negative tests twice a week to enter their workplaces instead of once, as it is now the case. The minister also said police inspections for breaches of new restrictions would be stepped up, with business owners facing higher fines starting at €5,000. The government also launched a new public awareness campaign on vaccinations, sending text messages to people who haven't been vaccinated. So I can expect to get a few texts on my phone. I just want to quickly go back and clarify. I may have said something inappropriate or wrong here. All public and private sector employees will also have to display negative tests twice a week to enter their workplace instead of once, as it is now the case. Now, whether they're talking about vaccinated or just unvaccinated, again, the wording is not very clear and very concise. You would think that it would be in the mainstream media. Anyway, some good news then, all right? The International Tourism Fair in London ended yesterday and was clearly affected by the pandemic, and it did not resemble the glamour, they're describing it, of the previous years. However, the participating Zakynthos businessmen conveyed a climate of optimism for the recovery of the tourism market for Zakynthos, and especially with the UK tourism market as well. The conclusions and impressions gained from the exhibition, conveyed by the president of the Hotel Owners Association of Zakynthos, Mr. Magrikis, stressed the need to strengthen flights from the UK directly with Zakynthos Airport. So what they've been asking for is more direct flights from the UK, which is a bonus, which is great. Other businessmen from Zakynthos, such as hoteliers, Mr. Manfredus and also Michaelis, as well as a travel agent from the island, Mr. Vlodidis, were also present at the travel fair, along with the regional governor, Mr. Karasis, who had the opportunity to meet the Greek Minister of Tourism as well while in London. A long way to go to meet the Minister of Tourism from Greece. But anyway, according to information, the governor made contact with TUI executives, and a new meeting will follow with the executives in charge of issues related to destinations and also local government. Anyway, Mr. Mergigas also noted that what we are asking for is to have a channel of communication with all tour operators and from all markets, emphasising that international travel exhibitions such as London and Berlin, that is due to take place, they are appropriate environments for which collaborations can actually take place. In other words, things could be discussed, finalised and sorted while at the travel fairs, and basically everything done in-house there. Anyway, Mr. Magrikis focused especially on the Pacific issue of flights that will connect the UK with Zakynthos as part of the exhibition. A meeting was also held with the Aegean Airlines as well, concerning a direct flight from Zakynthos directly into London, into the UK. So again, looks like Aegean Air have now been proactive in that they are looking now to get themselves direct flights from, hopefully, Greece, but better still, from Zakynthos directly into London. It seems they bought a company, and they're using this company as their sort of base to be their springboard launch, as it were, for this direct link. But with Aegean, who are a lovely airline, they're a fantastic airline. Jane and I have flown with them quite a few times from Athens to the UK. But to have a direct flight from Zakynthos with Aegean, that's another airline now, like Wizz Air, EasyJet, TUI, and Jet2, that will offer the chance of more people to be able to get on a flight, and obviously at a good price, and obviously come and make the most of Zakynthos. So again, we'll keep an eye on that and see how that works out. Anyway, in total, he said there's much optimism for a recovery in the British market. Finally, in relation to Brexit, Mr. Maratis said, transferring his personal experience, he noted that apart from the passport requirements, i.e. you're only allowed to be here for 90 days, that travellers to and from Britain now have nothing else in their way, obviously, to change their plans for travel. The only thing, of course, is where will we be with COVID by this time next year, and hopefully all of that might be laid to rest as we all kind of move forward post-COVID. And also another little story that literally come out within the last hour here in Zakynthos. There's going to be a new flight to Zakynthos, a direct flight with Romania. Now, this has been organised by a company recently bought by Aegean, and this development confirms the huge interest that exists in Zakynthos from this market. In August alone, there were 6,527 passengers from Romania who disembarked at Zakynthos Airport, while many Romanians actually drove here either on organised coach trips or by private car. So again, it's another market. It's a market I had mixed reaction from people. Some people said, yeah, it was a great market. They were good for us. They actually spent money. However, it's just another string to the bow that we've got this other nation coming. But again, I think most people, most businesses here are wanting to see more British come to the island. That seemed to be the rule in everywhere that you went, more British coming, and also the Dutch as well. They were a very good market as well, and they traditionally have been a very, very strong market here with Zakynthos. Again, it'll be interesting to see what transpires with them and see what happens if they're going to have more flights coming in for next year. I know our demographic for where we were this year, we could probably say was heavily influenced by the Dutch over here for this season for us in Magdalena's. Now, and finally, yes, believe it or not, Christmas is coming, and in order to bring a festive image to Zakynthos, in general, a voluntary team of Zakynthos has made a special internet announcement for Christmas decorations to be erected in neighbourhoods. Anyway, having a previous experience, this volunteer group is preparing several actions and has asked for practical support from fellow citizens, businessmen and organisations to change the image of the city and create a festive atmosphere. So again, the Christmas decorations are getting ready to go up here in Zakynthos. Despite we've only just had Halloween, we don't celebrate Guy Fawkes, the Greeks, although Guy Fawkes is tomorrow. But anyway, that's another story. Anyway, Dionys Nikopopoulos, a member of the group, said we have ornaments from previous years that we did similar actions, and said that this year we've planned to decorate Kavlos Square and Marihunis Street. They gave us an idea. If they get permission, they're also going to decorate the bridge going across the river, and said that the cultural associations, now the cultural associations, there are various on this island, they could also help in this effort. They said there is also a thought to decorate the square on Chitati Street and the stairs that are beautiful. I think they're on about the stairway that comes down from the Bockley Hill Road, about decorating those stairways down there. Anyway, we also started an update to decorate trees throughout Alexander Roma and Tavla. So obviously I did actually see a Christmas tree. I did see one the other day while riding down along that location of Alexander Roma. We are encouraging entrepreneurs to decorate their trees, and they said it's easy for someone who has a shop to go out and put the lights on. This must be done in order to make our island more humane. And you know what? I couldn't agree more. Let's get the Christmas trees up. Let's get the lights on. Let's try and feel festive. A lot more festive than what we felt last year, when all we were worrying about was lockdown and whether we were allowed to go out and how many people we could have in the house over Christmas. It's nice to see that we are looking ahead to Christmas, even though, well, look at it now, it's the 4th of November. It won't be that long. But anyway, that's the news for today. Can I just say a quick hello to some of the people that are online. Jamie Brown is looking in. Linda and Gary over in Essex, thanks you for looking in. Fiona Hutton is watching as well. Stephanie Michelle Nash is also watching. Are you related to Heather Nash in any way? Ken Grant is also watching as well. Nice to see you here. Diane Kemp is watching. Christine Wildridge. Mike Collette is watching as well. Dave Matthews, Raffredge Buddy over there in Oxford. Nice to see you looking in as well. Island Davis, Steve Thompson, Rachel Hanson from Nottingham, and Kay Nicola as well says hi. Nice to see you. Brian Darlington, Susie Angus, a few of those names I've already mentioned. Michael Wood as well. Lucy Van as well from the UK that I met at the airport. Nice to see you tuning in. Where are you? Because you're normally in Paris, so we have a French connection there. Also Christine as well over there in Leighton Buzzard is looking in as well. Nice to see you. Barbara Cocker. Anybody else? Dave Matthews, we've said you. Ian Boothie as well looking in, and Rainer Pete Dillon. Right, that's it from me for today. I'm going to keep my ear to the ground. Again, regular broadcast every morning. Trying to keep it short and sweet and concise, because I know that people live busy lives. Keep my ear to the ground, see what's going on. Also, don't forget tomorrow, beatsradio.co.uk, my dance anthem show, which this week is Guy Fawkes Fawkes orientated. Why not theme it? Guy Fawkes for tomorrow night. Go and listen to that. And also don't forget the Northern Soul show. That will be on a Sunday evening. Again, I'll be in the chat room in both shows now because obviously they're recorded, and I'm free then to chat and talk to people in the chat area. Big shout out to Sam Curtis and also to Shane Bowen, two loyal listeners who come in there as well. Anyway, that's it from me. I'll keep my ear to the ground. Anybody's got any questions, any comments, again, my little email or my little box is open there for comments and stuff like that. I'd love to hear your feedback and comments and things that you'd like to see featured as well, and just see how things go. Anyway, that's it from me. You have a great day. Thank you to that person who just sent me a have a great day message. Who was that? I think it could have been Ron Dixon or could have been Paul. I'm not sure. Oh, it was Fiona Hutton. Yes, thank you, my darling. And Jan Lawrence is watching as well, and loads of people. Oh, and Dennis Patrick Carroll over there in Cyprus is tuning in as well. Right, that's it from me. I'll speak to you again soon. You take care. Ta-ra.